Hi, it's Alexis Hasselberger, time management and productivity coach. Now, this is not the first time that you're going to hear me talk about your future self. It's probably not the first time you have heard me talk about your future self. I think that this is a really important concept because humans, like, we're not great at it, right? We want to do what's in the here and now. We value what's in the here and now. It is hard to, think about our future selves, to make decisions for our future selves. Like, this is just something that is hard for humans to do. But I was listening to a podcast recently. It was one of the TED Radio Hour podcasts, and it was about this concept of future you, but it shared some additional research that really helped me understand more about the reasons why it's so hard for us. And more importantly, what are some research backed ways that we can make it easier to prioritize our future self? Right. And so I want to share those with you because I am always looking for things that are kind of mental trickery to help us get to do the things we want to do instead of like really buckling down, relying on willpower, motivation, and all of that, because those are fleeting resources we do not always have access to. So I want to share with you just a couple of simple ways that you can start to help yourself prioritize your future self, but that aren't going to be that difficult to do. Okay. And they might sound a little funny. And sometimes the things we need to do around mental trickery for ourselves to get ourselves to do the things we want to do, sometimes they're a little silly, and that's okay. Okay, so here's the first one. You can look at a picture of yourself while you are making decisions. Now, I know this sounds strange. It sounds a little narcissistic. Why the heck is this one of the recommendations? Well, here's why. In our minds, your future self and yourself right now are not the same person. And that is why it is so hard, or that's one of the reasons why it's so hard to make decisions that prioritize that future person, because we do not see that future person as ourselves. So when you actually make it concrete, when you look at a photo of yourself, maybe you have a selfie saved on your phone somewhere, maybe you have like a little image on a backdrop of your computer, your background of your computer, maybe you have like a Polaroid of yourself in your wallet or something like this, right? But if you look at a picture of yourself while you are making, or you know what, even go to LinkedIn and just like look at your photo on LinkedIn, right? That's an easy way to do it without seeming narcissistic, right? Look at yourself and make that decision, because you are going to be thinking about yourself and not this mythical future you that kind of lives in our mind, right? So kind of silly, but research shows it can work. Okay. Now, what's another way that you can help yourself to prioritize that future self? So it turns out that just changing a little bit about how we talk to ourselves, and I'm not talking about, I mean, there's lots of conversations about how we should be nicer to ourselves when we talk to each other. I'm not even talking about that, although I believe that's true. What I'm talking about here is actually, instead of, saying I, me, etc., when you're talking to yourself, whether this is in your head or whether it's out loud, talk to yourself in the third person. Use your own name. If I'm talking to myself and I'm trying to make a good decision, let's just say I'm trying to, exercise so I'll feel better tomorrow or whatever. Instead of saying, oh, I should exercise, I should say, Alexis, you really should exercise because, tomorrow, future Alexis is really going to appreciate that, right? So just using, you don't even have to say that second sentence, but just saying your name. Obviously, don't say Alexis unless that's actually your name. Say your own name, but say your name instead of whatever it is you would call yourself. Now, if you are one of those people who, and there's lots of us who uses maybe not so nice names for yourself when you're talking about yourself. Maybe you say, why are you being such an idiot, or things like this. This is also a time maybe to think about changing that language, but just start with using your own name, right? And this helps you to also visualize and realize that you are that person, that person you're talking to tomorrow. That is actually you. So use that name for yourself. Now, if this still isn't super concrete to you about like why you should be talking to your future self, or how you should talk to your future self, or how you should make decisions that support your future self, what does this look like in the real world? I just want to give you a few examples from my life. Not that these are going to necessarily be your examples, but just to get you thinking about, how we can use this in our daily life, right? So the first example for me that comes up is that, we all, no matter what our work is, no matter what our jobs are, we all have things we don't like to do, right? I work for myself. I get to choose what I do, and I still have parts of my job that like aren't my favorite part. And my least favorite part of my job is transferring any actionable notes from my note-taking system into my task system. This is something I need to do every day. Otherwise, I get behind. it's not good, something falls through the cracks, et cetera. It's like totally necessary. And yet I just hate doing it. I hate doing it so much, but it's really important. And so I say to myself, I choose that, okay, Alexis, tomorrow you is really going to appreciate this. If tomorrow you wakes up and you have pages of notes that, you have to go look through, tomorrow you's going to be real mad, right? Tomorrow you's not going to have a great day. I literally will talk to myself about that, and that helps me to do it. Now, you might be sitting here wondering, hey, you're like a productivity person. Why are you taking paper notes that you have to then transfer? That does not seem very efficient. And let me tell you, I know. Okay, I get it. I have tried every electronic note-taking system on the planet. I am just a paper note taker. It's just what works for me. I have a lot of different ways that I have made this more efficient over time, but still there's like 5 minutes at the end of the day of me kind of looking through and saying like, oh, that didn't make it into my task system. That better go in, etc. Just the way it is. You may have things in your life as well where you're like, I don't understand why I'm doing this in a way that isn't particularly efficient for me. Sometimes the way that works for you is just the way that works, and that's okay, right? So that's one of the ways. Every 6 months or so, I don't transfer those notes. And then I wake up, I start work the next morning, and I'm mad at my past self because I have set myself up for something that is not so great, right? Now, another way, eating until 80% full. So this is something that this like the Japanese, that's where I heard of it. It's like the Japanese have an adage around eating until you're 80% full because then you won't feel overly full, right? And I don't know about you, but like when I have something I'm eating that's like really, really delicious, this is a little bit hard for me. Indian food, I'm looking at you right now. That is like the addictive thing where sometimes I don't actually stop at 80%. And actually, I try. This is something I try. I'm not good 100% of the time. But what I found is that if I can kind of stop when I'm satiated, but not totally full, then 3 hours from now, me is much happier with myself because I'm not feeling bloated. I'm not feeling overly full. It just feels better, right? What's another way? So just choosing the lesser of two evils, right? Now, all of the time we are making decisions where there's like not a clear, like, this is the best decision to make and this is the worst decision to make, right? Lots of times we are looking at like, what is the lesser of two evils? I mean, politically, we're also looking at like, what is the lesser of two evils? But also, just in our daily lives, we're like, okay, well, I could do this thing or I could do this thing. What is going to be better or worse, right? And sometimes they're not both great. And so just thinking like, okay, I am going to do the thing that is going to have wreak the least amount of havoc because my future self will appreciate that, right? Now, what about thinking of it as a gift, right? If maybe your love language is gift giving, what if you think about something that you're doing today as a gift to your future self, right? I think about this all the time. And I like to actually thank myself in retrospect, right? But sometimes, like, I do something, I set myself up in some way. Actually, one of my clients recently, she'd been through my group program, which incidentally is going to be enrolling starting tomorrow. And she said, I had set up these templates for myself a few months ago when we were working together for this project that comes up, every year. And then I saw the templates when that project came up again, and I just thought, oh, thank you to my past self, because now it's so much easier for me to move forward. And actually, the things that she had she was like, oh, it's going to take me this long. It actually took so much less time this time. So she's doubly thanking herself. So I think about this all the time. Is there something like quick, easy that I could do right now that would actually be a gift to myself later? And that's a way that you can think of this as well. So I hope this has been helpful. If if you're liking this content and you want to see it in your feed, make sure to subscribe. And if you would like more help with these types of issues, right? If you would like to learn how to use your time in a way that supports your goals and values, but that doesn't increase stress, and in fact decreases stress, then two things are happening. So one, I am offering a couple of free classes on how to actually make progress on your goals over the next week or so. So just click the link and you can certainly register below for those, totally free. And then another thing is that I am opening up enrollment for Time Well Spent, my group program that I run twice a year that gets amazing results for people. I only open it up twice a year. Now is one of those times. Enrollment will close on February 1st, but you can go ahead and check that out and enroll now if you would like to, right? Or rather, enroll on the 23rd. That's when enrollment will open. So if those are of any interest to you, links are below. If not, if you just like seeing me in your feed once a week, then that is fantastic too. And I will see you here next week.
Hey guys, it's Video Editor here. Just want to quickly let you know that only about 23% of the people that watch our videos are actually subscribed. So if you were to hit the subscribe button, it'd be a big help. Thank you.